มาจัดสนามปันสองครัวเชียนปรัชญาปรัชญาสามัคคีกลมนันเนียสองครัวของเรากาเปียกัมพูชีไม่ตรงรบเนียเพียมเพียสันเสรีไอ้กระเรียนโบนาเพียมอาคัมปไตยไม่ประเสริฐโตประดันไทยรักษามันอ้อยบ่ตึงเชียนปีนหมกตรวจตาสมบัติโดนตาทนเทียนเจียนขมาย
Hello and good evening, good morning or good afternoon to you wherever you may be at. Thank you for joining our show. This is Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. This show is part of the CNRP America live show. My name is Linda and I will be your host tonight. Today is September 7, 2021. Our topic for today is Labor Day 2021. In America, we celebrate Labor Day yesterday, and during that time, we don't have to work. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to say why is Labor Day? Why do we celebrate Labor Day? And does Cambodia have Labor Day? We will also answer that question as well. So, but before we start, please help to support our petitions at change.org. Thank you to everyone who have supported the petitions. But we still need your help. We need 500,000 signatures. So please join me to support ending impunity for justice in Cambodia, a worldwide campaign to find justice for victims of Cambodia's state-backed killing. Together, we hold Hun Sen and his ally responsible for continuing to kill and hurt Cambodia. Ending impunity for justice in Cambodia is a campaign seeking support from Cambodia community inside and outside of the country. It doesn't have to be Cambodian. You can be any nationality, any race. If you believe in ending impunity, ending injustice, please have to sign the petitions. Our petitions at change.org. I have a short clip from Her Excellency Mu Sukur explaining ending impunity. So please watch and then help share and sign the petition. Thank you.
Between 1975 and 1979, the green rice fields of Cambodia became the killing fields of Cambodia. Over 2 million lives were lost, including the lives of my own parents and many of my relatives. The Khmer Rouge wanted a society that is equal according to them. We still live and we are haunted with the legacy of the Khmer Rouge, which is the culture of impunity that continues to exist in Cambodia today. It is for this reason that we have started a campaign, worldwide campaign, a campaign to end impunity in Cambodia by seeking justice for cases, for the executions, for the killings that are organized, that are backed by the state. Among those cases of state-backed killings are the killings of Chivichir, a very famous trade union leader, Bisep Pilaka, a ballet dancer, of Kemlay, an independent analyst, of Chutvuti, a well-known environmentalist, of Venerable Sun Bunthun, who was advocating for the monks to have the right to vote, including workers who demanded fair wages. The campaign will also advocate for governments that are members of the United Nations to put pressure on the government of Cambodia to conduct independent investigations, independent investigations by using universal tools, such as the UN Protocol for Independent Investigation. The campaign will also advocate for governments that believe and want to protect universal human rights to impose sanctions on the leaders of the government of Cambodia who are implicated in these state-backed extrajudicial killings. We ask you to be with us, to support us, to be part of a campaign to end the culture of impunity in Cambodia and to find justice for those who have been waiting for justice for their loved ones killed by the state. There cannot be real peace unless there is justice. There cannot be justice unless there is independent investigation. And then to take those cases to an independent justice system. Join us by signing on this petition. Thank you.
យើងរួមគ្នាបញ្ចប់នីតិរដ្ឋភាពដើម្បីយុត្តិធម៌នៅកម្ពុជា
Welcome back and thank you. Please help to sign our petitions at change.org. Exactly like the comment from Bong Serena Wood. She said it, please help to sign our petitions at change.org. Friends, your friends and your family to help this cause, and anyone can sign. You do not need to be Cambodian. You can be not any national, any race, and you can sign anonymously. Please help to sign our petitions. I just checked out change.org. So far, we have 106,508 signatures. Even though it's over 100,000 signatures, we are still looking for at least 500,000 signatures. So your help is very important to our petitions. Please help to sign our petitions at change.org. The name of the petition is Ending Impunity for Justice in Cambodia. Thank you. I have two guests today. My first guest, his name is Mr. Sophoan Seng. He is the chairman of Electoral Commissioner for Overseas Cambodia. He's been here many times. He's dedicated his time and effort to be here. And I thank you for that. Let me bring him out.
Linda, thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Mr. Sophoan, for being here today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, thank you for asking. Everything's good in here.
For our audience that do not know Mr. Sophoan is currently in Canada.
Yeah.
While I am in Los Angeles, California, in USA. How, since the pandemic is always we talk about, how is Canada doing? How are you doing over there?
Yeah, everything seems like become normal, but more intensify on the variant, the new variant. So the government imposed some more strict regulation, but people still are not scared like before. So people are still very enjoyable with the outdoor activities, but they have experienced a lot and they have more knowledge how to prevent the pandemic, and infection is not that high like before, and the infection is low, so people seem like they have more immunity because of the vaccinating. And also the school is opening today, so all students enjoy at school. So everything like become normal in here in Canada.
So everything the restaurant and business open as normal now?
Yeah. They just put some measure and restrictive measures to prevent the pandemic, such as the public bar or whatever. They have more strict regulation. but everything become normal. Restaurant, we can go and sit. It's just the chair we keep social distancing.
Does the Canadian government require masks outside?
Yeah, in my province, because in here we don't use the term state like the US, but in Canada, the administration is similar like the US. We use the term province. So each province, they have autonomy to have their own policy on place. And my province is British Columbia. They just announced last few days about the new requirement for masks in public area.
Thank you, Mr. Sophoan. Basically, it's the same almost as the US. Our infection rate is going up. Also, the government is announcing, asking for people to get vaccinated. I'm not sure how it's in Canada. How does people really go get vaccination, or the government trying to get them vaccinated?
No, the people really collaborate with the government. So whenever the vaccination is available, especially it's available Pfizer, and in Pfizer that is the more popular in Canada that people like to get vaccinated. So everyone, like I think almost 99% now they got vaccinated.
Wow, that's amazing. The US, I think, is 50%. The freedom of choice is up there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, in here too. Human rights and freedom of choice fully respected, but there are some mandatory vaccinating, especially frontline workers. They have to be vaccinated.
Thank you,
Keep in
Mr.
mind.
Sophoan.
Yeah.
If you were to say it to the people in the US, how would you recommend? Can you motivate them to get vaccinated?
Yeah, vaccination is protecting yourself and protecting your family and protecting your community, and especially the frontline workers. It must be mandatory. If you don't vaccinate it, you cannot go to work.
Thank you, Mr. Sophoan. Yes, I totally agree. Please, everybody, go get vaccinated. Thank you, Mr. Sophoan, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you. My second guest, her name is Sita Arunson. She is the CNRP supporter in Fresno, California. Let me bring her in. Like Mr. Sophoan, she's donated her time to be in this show, and I appreciate that. ជំរាបសួរបង
ជំរាបសួរ
How are you?
I'm good. How about you, Linda?
Thank you, and thank you for being on our show today.
Thank you for having me back.
How are you?
I'm good. Busy. Just came back from work.
How life at Fresno?
Hot today. I think it's 105 or something like that.
It was hot this past weekend as well.
Yeah, that's really hot.
Since we're talking about Labor Day, I think the Labor Day also signaling in America the end of summer.
Is that right?
Yes, it's a sign. It's the end of summer and cooler
don't feel
season.
like it. Don't feel like it. It's too hot.
Yeah, I was passing by Fresno. I was passing by Bakersfield yesterday, and it was 108. No joke.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just dry and it's just hot. I guess hopefully the hot weather going out with a bang with 108 yesterday or today, but
Yep, need to stay inside and all that stuff. Warning the whole weekend. And today, today is still hot. I think 105 today.
Yeah, everyone need to be hydrated. Make sure you drink enough water so that way you will not be dehydrated. And usually the sign of dehydration is headache. So please drink a lot of water. For our audience that live in California, or I believe most places are so hot, except I think the East Coast where they have the storm back there. I just talked to Mr. Sophoan regarding Canada. The last time you were here, how is the situation in Fresno? How's the COVID?
The rate of the infections going back up slightly because of the Delta variant. And I work in a healthcare clinic, and we have patients who have who vaccinated, 2 doses already, but they still got infected with the virus, but lighter symptom, not as bad. They had it, and it's like a flu, like you have flu, you have some fever, some headaches, and but a couple of days, the most is about a week. And the people at the clinic that I work, they are senior citizen too. So even at their condition, they contracted the virus with the 2 vaccine. They survive. We haven't heard anybody who got both vaccine and die from the COVID yet. Thank God for that. So yes, so encourage everybody to get vaccinated. You might get it again. You might get the Delta variant, but it's lighter symptom, not as you won't get as sick. We've seen it with our people. We've seen it with the patient that we served already.
That is really good to hear, because people, I have coworkers that refuse to get vaccinated for some belief that they have, and to hear that from you, who actually in the front line, who actually experience people like that, it's really good to hear that after vaccinations they survive, and that is a good sign. And Mr. Dang Kao saying Washington still 82. I think we are very jealous of him.
Yeah.
We like 100 and he's 82. So I think he's just rubbing it in Washington. Thank you, Wong.
No problem.
Let me bring Mr. Sophoan back up. Thank you, Mr. Pon, for being here, and Wong Sita. Before we go into our topic, I would like to do a little current event and stuff. Any news that happening, and you are aware that I always talk about either democracy or human rights, anything that relate to that. Today I read about an article, or I saw a video clip, so I'm going to play a short clip, and then we'll discuss what's going on and why is it that violating human rights. Okay.
Okay.
A tense standoff between police and land protesters in southeast Cambodia's Cambodian province. Local villagers are protesting plans to use their farmland to build a new airport. The protesters say authorities have not given them adequate compensation for the land that was seized. Hundreds of police were deployed to prevent protesters from reaching their farmland. The Kandal province governor has told RFA that the compensation offered villagers is fair. The airport project is projected to cost about $1.5 billion. It will be built on about 3,000 hectares of land. Disputes over land are common in Cambodia and other Southeast Asian countries. The powerful, wealthy, and well-connected often take property from the poor, leaving them with little means of support.
According to Radio Free Asia's, around 330 families living on the dispute land. They would say compensation for the field, saying the amount offered payment by the firm were too low. And from the video, you see the interview, one of the lady that said that they offer $10,000 for her land, and she said that's too low. And that $10,000, it just, if she go into the hospital, that's going to be gone already. And with that, Mr. Sophoan, the regime loved the word development, which is it's also called Apiwat. How do you feel after you seeing that video? You're mute.
Yeah, I'm shocked to see the land grab issue has been very challenging issue, and it is lingering to the bottom line people. So development, in terms of development, it means that everybody benefit from that development. It must be inclusive, not exclusive. So the government use the term vaguely that on behalf of national development, Cambodian people have to give up some benefit and some interest. And they justify this through land grab, and especially this clip. I think this happening in Kandal province, yeah, district they call Seng district, I think. So the land grab that video clip show right now is happening right now is the development of international airport, I think.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is not domestic airport. It is international airport that they will replace the current Po Chentong airport, because Po Chentong is too close to the capital city and it is too small. So this place has been granted to a development company owned by the senator belong to the Cambodian People Party.
The firm called Overseas Cambodia Investment Corporations, OCIC, a private Cambodian firm to construct the airport for $1.5 billion project.
Yeah. This company I know is owned by a Cambodian Canadian. I think his name Pung Kieu Sa. It's not mixed. I'm not wrong. So Pung Kieu Sa, he have a very notorious name on the list regarding land grab, because in Phnom Penh, many displacement owned by Pung Kieu Sa, and Pung Kieu Sa is the closest person to Prime Minister Hun Sen. And if you heard about the tragedy, stampede tragedy in Kopik on the bridge, it was owned by Pung Kieu Sa as well. The impunity was huge on that time because over 300 youths were died on just 1 hour, the stampede on Kopik. And the compensation was very minimal. And right now, they just forgot them. The life of the Cambodian people is very cheap. So everywhere when I see OC owned by Pung Kieu Sa development, it has issue with compensation to the landowner, especially like this clip. The Cambodian farmer, they own the farmland and they want to develop. They just give very little compensation, like 10,000. You said $10,000, right?
The lady said $10,000.
Yeah, that's not enough. It's not the price in the market. So they should give them the fair price. Like in Canada, in US, or other part of the world, when they develop Zambia, they have to thinking about impact to the community, impact to the family, impact to the environment, and is land owned by the people, not owned by the state. That land must be fairly compensated according to the market value. You cannot just go and use the armed force or use the power of the government, which is called abusing of power. So Hun Sen government has been continuing to abuse power a lot. They don't care the people. And what they say, they care about development. That's wrong. That's not the correct development. You cannot justify or compromise the development like that. And I think it is right that Cambodian people have to stand up, have to protest. According to the constitution, you are guaranteed the right to protest, the right to fairness compensation. If you don't stand up, you will lose your land, you will lose your benefit, and sometimes they will put you in jail if you don't protest. So you have to protest, and Cambodian people everywhere have to come to protest, including those loyal member of the CPP. You have to protest too, because one day it come to your home too. I see many voters for the Cambodian People Party. They were damaged by such land grab as well. See, you can see
It's a
that.
matter of time.
Yeah, it's just the timing. It's just the timing. So today you might ignore other people suffering, but tomorrow it comes to you.
Thank you, Mr. Sophoan. According to the Cambodian Center for Human Rights, short for CCHR, it said the price gap is too large. And the OCIC, which the company that won the bidding to build that airport, have failed to conduct a proper assessment of their project environmental impact or to consult the villager on the proposed development. So this is a chronic issue, meaning everywhere we look at in Cambodia, it's chronic, meaning that this is 330 people, family that trying to get into their land and they could not get into it. Bong Sita, we did before talking about land grabbing and how the regime is not adequately compensating family. How do you feel about that, Bong?
Inhumane. That's the first word that come to mind. Inhumane. It's just that the way they do it. Of course, government have the right to, get lands, but buy lands from people and develop for development for the use for the good of the people as a whole. But they have to do it fairly, like Sophoan said, that have to compensate them fair market. And the study of the environment in America, before they develop anything, they go into the neighborhood. They ask the people who live in the area how it's gonna affect the people in the area, and what benefit. They weigh out the benefit, the pro and the con of having it and not having it, whatever that they want to develop. Which one is way out better, and they go from there. And then if they decided that okay, the benefit of building something is outweigh the not building it, then they go into the next step, which is compensate to the people who will be affecting by the development at the fair markets. $10,000 that they were talking about for how much land? Probably very little compensated for. That's why she was throwing herself out there and crying and all that stuff. And I heard that the lands right now in Cambodia is very expensive too. So, and not just the land, everything else, the living condition and everything is very expensive. 10,000, she go out there and she can't even build herself a place to live, to start up another place to live. So it's just inhumane, the way they doing it. And this is not the first time, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time that we hearing about land grabbing. We hear this all the time. Almost every month we hear that land grabbing here and land grabbing there, somewhere in Cambodia, that we hear news about land grabbing. It's been an ongoing thing, just like you said. It's a chronic issue. It's been going on for very, very long time in Cambodia. It's just an issue that doesn't go away.
Thank you, Bong. Mr. Sophoan, since I'm saying the chronic issue, can you help our audience understand why is it a chronic issue? Why can't the regime solve this issue? What happened?
Yeah, the chronic is like cancer issue. So when someone infected by cancer, you have no chance to survive. You have chance only to die. So in Cambodia situation, the chronic issue of land grabbing, it has become very everlasting, not only today, but many years ago, or decades ago, 10 or 20 years or 30 years ago. And why the government cannot solve the problem? Because they are incapable to solve the problem. They are chronic. So not only the issue is chronic, it is the government is chronic itself. So when the government become tumor or the cancer, so government spread the cancer to the people, not the people spread cancer to the government. And the main issue is corruption and patronage system. So right now, Cambodia has turned into a one-party state, and it is a dictator country, not style communist or not style democratic, but it's very it's hard to name the regime. We can name the regime like fake democracy country because we have law, we have rule, we have court, but everything just the show. Like the rapper, the singer from Siem Reap province, Mr. Kiesukun, said that Cambodian people has been fabricated by the media, by the government. The government itself is not the government. It's like a group of thieves, a group of robbers who play the law, play the rule, but they are not honest to the people. They're just fabricating the news, fabricating the solution. So when the people are more protesting, they created the authority that handle the issue. Like recently, Hun Sen nominated his son-in-law, who is Hok Long Di's son, Di Vichia, to be the head of land grab solution. I mean, land grabbing campaign. But the duty of Di Vichia is not to solve the problem to help the Cambodian victim by the land grab, but to collect, to document the information that people or the victim, they try to fabricate the government. They try to pretend that their land has been grabbed and they go to protest. They don't see that it is an issue. They see it is a fabrication by the people. So when the government see the people as their enemy like this, you cannot solve a problem. And the chronic is become more serious. Because why? Because the government is protecting the rich, protecting the powerful, protecting the capitalists, protecting the company. So they help the company to succeed by arresting the Cambodian people, even though military can use gun to shoot the people who protest to protect their land. And like recently, one that was in jail has been died in the prison because of the protecting their land from land grab from the authority. So this is kind of intimidating to the people. Don't stand up when government want to develop somewhere or want to take some land by the authority, by the military, by the officers. You have to be silent. You cannot protect. You cannot stand up. So we can say the rise of survival of the people has been damaged or has been what can I use the term destroyed, maybe has been destroyed by the government. So the issue is really bad. Public policy and corruption and rule of law, it become ruled by man, not ruled by law anymore. So it's very unfortunate for Cambodian people that I think because Cambodian people, including the youth, they have to stand up. If you just keep silent, the government still continue to abuse all of you, and you cannot live in a peaceful condition in Cambodia.
Thank you, Mr. Sophoan. The reason it's chronic because it's backed by the state. The state itself cannot solve the issue because the state itself, the regime itself, own grabbing those land for their own benefit. And you sum it all up, it's still nothing solved. And if the regime want to solve this issue, it cannot be solved because it's affecting their pocket.
Yeah, they try to be rich by themselves. You can see those authority like the leader of the policemen, the leader of the para police. They all the central member of the Cambodian People Party, which is conflicting our interests. and it's not allowed by the law. If we talk about a public servant, you cannot serve positions such as head of policeman or head of military, and you sit as a central member of the party. So you have conflict of interest. It is the same fool. The same fool if you do that and you ignore it. So in Cambodia, you see like Nate Sophoan, he is the head of the National Police Authority, and he is the member of the Central Committee of the Cambodian People Party. So there is conflict of interest. Like Pung Kyo Sai himself, that owned the IOC, that the company that developed this airport.
Yes.
He is the senator, and he might be member of the Cambodian People Party. So he doesn't care about the people; he cares about the party. This is the conflict of interest, right?
It is. Yeah.
That's why impunity is everywhere. Chronic issue here is impunity, like Musuho mentioned at the beginning.
Thank you, Mr. Sophoan. Before we move on, Bong Sita, you want to add anything regarding that land grab? Because it's every time, like every 2 weeks, we hear different locations of this issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is true. Just to the people, it's affecting these group of people today, and tomorrow it will affect other places, and other people will affect by it. And they need to stand up. Everybody need to stand up for your neighbor today. Tomorrow it might be you. So you need to stand up today so it will protect your land tomorrow. If you don't do it, if you just think, oh, that's not my problem, somebody else's problem, I don't want to go to jail for it. But if only a few stand up at a time, they will put you in jail. But if a lot of people stand up at the same time, they don't have the capacity of putting everybody in jail, and they will not, they don't have enough jail to put people in, and they don't have enough force to, and the international world would pay more attention to if there's a lot more people stand up for their right to live on your own land. It's simple as that. It's not something illegal. So that's what my plea to the people in Cambodia: stand up for your right. Right today, we're talking about the right to protect your home, the right to protect your land, the right to live peaceful without being harmed, and the right to have a fair compensation if they need the land to do something, for development, for the bigger population. That's fine, but compensate them fairly. That's what you would ask for. So yeah.
Thank you, Bong. And you brought up a good point. 2 weeks ago, we're talking about the dam. Like we're like thousands of families that get affected. Today, we're talking about the airport, where so far 330 families. Tomorrow could be something else. So if you are standing there and watching, sooner or later it's going to be your land. So please go and help support them, support the protest, and also support that. This is unacceptable. It's been chronic issue for over 30, 40 years, and the regime is since the regime started. I mean, after Pol Pot regime, and now this regime, and it's chronic issue. Again, like Bong Sita and Lok Sophoan say, now is other people, next time going to be you. And if you're not going to help stop it, it's going to be your turn, your land, and your home soon. Well, thank you, Bong, and thank you, Lok Sophoan, for elaborate on that issue. And we're talking about land grabbing and human rights. Let's talking about Labor Day. Lok Sophoan, do you celebrate Labor Day in Canada?
Yeah, it's a holiday. It's Labor Day in Canada and the US. Yesterday, September 6th, correct? Yeah.
What does Canadian people normally do on Labor Day?
Or just stay home, enjoy the family, because we it's holiday. It's holiday, yeah.
So
And
Labor Day does not mean you go and do more labor?
no, I'm not. My wife, we do it. But you know, Labor Day is a confusing term with Labor Day for pregnant women. That sometimes we make a joke on Labor Day, right? So
Yes.
asking to have a labor, but actually not. Labor Day is ខ្មែរយើងហៅថ្ងៃទិវាពលកម្មអន្តរជាតិ In Cambodia we celebrate in May 1st. So a little bit different, but we dedicating to the hardworking people who held the economy, who held the country and held the world. I think without Labor Day, we cannot survive today because hard labor, hardworking people that make us prosperity and happiness today. So this day they dedicating to the hardworking people and to the rights and obligation and protection the labor in the labor market. So when we talk about labor and labor market, we have to thinking about union and thinking about fair compensation. So all of that, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Sophoan. I didn't know Canada celebrate like us the same weekend as well. What did you do yesterday, Bang Sita? Did you go to work to work?
No, sleep. Slept in. Yeah, just rest. Yeah, rest, catch up some housework, and never enough time for for anything. So an extra day off is a good thing.
Do you know it's Labor Day yesterday?
Yeah, I didn't go to work. So that mean off labor.
Yes. So Labor Day does not mean go to work some more. It meaning you get labor, you off labor.
Off labor, yes.
Yes.
You cease the labor. That means you're not working for that day. You celebrate that day for hard working. So you get a day off. And it usually happens the first Monday of September for in America. So I'm not sure about Canada and other part of the world, but
yeah, I think the same. Yeah,
the same.
But in Cambodia may be different. Cambodia
Yeah.
not the same day, and other part of the country might be different. Are you joking with the labor that Klong Tale, right?
No, I haven't heard about that in America. I don't know, maybe just me, but
yeah. You see, Labor Day is a. I remember that when I was young, we don't start school until after Labor Day.
Yeah.
So now kid nowadays they change. They start schools in the middle of August. So I guess the kid nowadays get worse than when I was a kid.
They have more curriculum that they need to catch up. That's why.
So when you was a kid, you
don't tell them that.
Sorry, Linda a little bit because you look young. So you was a kid in the U.S. or you was a kid in the labor camp?
Yeah, I was a kid in the U.S.
Oh, okay, you grown up in the U.S.
Yes. According to this, it say Labor Day is more than about sell. That's also in the mall or in grocery store. They also have a big sale, so people have barbecue. First day of school and barbecue to celebrate the end of summer. This holiday is federally recognized for more than a century. It's meant to honor citizen and immigrant doing the essential work. Work that actually build the country, that has kept it running, even during wars, natural disasters, and pandemics, which is we have pandemics right now. Just as important to remember as the complicated politics of this day, it's actually fight for basic right on and off the job continue. I am not familiar with labor law in Cambodia, but in this country,
Are you talking? Are you
freezing?
Yeah, oh, I think
she's freezing.
Oh my goodness. So,
can you hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I'm sorry.
So when you open your mouth and you froze like that, or
I don't know. I think my internet is going on and off, but can you hear me now?
Yeah, okay, good now. Yeah.
How far did you hear me?
How far did I not? I did not hear you about.
Start all over.
Okay. Labor Day is more than just sell. It's more than just first day of school, and also it's not about barbecuing. It's about recognizing more than a century that it's meant to honor citizens and immigrants doing essential work. We know what it is essential work because we are in a pandemic. So too often it's the government is unrecognized. So the government making this holiday so that way it's recognized the work that built this country and has kept it running even during war, natural disaster, and now pandemic. So it's actually a fight for basic right on and off the job.
Yeah, they're talking about minimum wage, right?
Exactly. Is there a minimum wage in Canada, Mr. Sophoan?
Yeah, absolutely. In my province, minimum wage they calculate in hour. Right now, it's up to $14 per hour.
Oh,
Minimum wage.
how much is it minimum wage right now, Bong? Sita, do you know, in California?
14.
14. Okay, I think they were campaigning for 15 soon.
Yeah, I think in January it's gonna raise again. Yeah, and I think Labor Day, if I may add, people in this country used to work or forced to work 7 days a week and like 12 hours sometimes per day, and and all that result that we have the privilege today, working 8 hours, you get off 2 days a week. It's from people protesting, people stand up, to the government, to the labor, to the companies, and ask the government to give us those labor rights, not to work 7 days a week and less hour per days, and so. And the celebration of the Labor Day is to celebrate that we have laws in place now that we don't have to work 7 days a week, and we have 8 days 8 days per hour, and if you work more than 8 days per hour or more than 40 hours per week, you are bound to pay overtime. So all those laws come into place is because people stand up for their right, and not just get it just one time asking, one time protest. No, it's done over years and years again, because the because of their fight for their rights. So in Cambodia, the same thing. If you want your right to be heard, to be acknowledged by the government, or to be heard by the world, so they can put some pressure on the government, you need to stand up. You need to pressure, the government. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for your neighbor. Stand up for your family. To ask for those rights. Those rights are there in the Constitution, but even though it's in the Constitution, but if we don't remind the government that, hey, we have this right, let us have those rights, the government gonna keep ignoring it. That's just the way it is. Government are made up of human as well, and they are corrupted people, especially government in Cambodia. They're corrupted people there. So we just have to make some noise. So stand up for yourself.
Thank you, Bong. Let me read Cambodia 2021 minimum wage. It's actually increased for textile and garment sector. As of January 1st, 2021, Cambodia monthly minimum wages for regular worker is $192 per month, an increase from 190 in 2020. So the rate for probationary worker is set at 187 per month. Per month, Bong.
Oh, how can they survive?
I know. I putting this comment from our audience, Sam Muang. I want to know, how can I move to New Zealand?
Yeah, I want that $21
So I put his comment up.
Somewhere.
Maybe we can stay with him for a couple months to get our feet wet.
Yeah, maybe I can work 10 hours or 12 hours. So I like that $21 per hour.
Is that a minimum wage in New Zealand?
It must be.
Maybe.
Thank you, Mr. Sam, for sharing.
And are we talking about that? You said how much per month that in Cambodia that they're getting paid 190, you said?
192. It's $2 increase.
Okay.
Correct.
192 divided. Okay, 192. Sorry. Go ahead, keep talking. I'm gonna just try to calculate what's the minimum wage.
Right? You calculate like 80 hours. No.
160.
I think they work 48 hours per week. They work 6 days per week instead of 5 days.
So it's not 160 per month like we are?
No, I believe they work 6 days per week instead of 5.
Really? So it must be overtime then.
But that's not an. So
no,
let's just say 160.
The same law because it adopted by ILO. You know ILO, right? International Labour Organization. That is a brand of the United Nations. They provided assistance and they opened the office in Cambodia. They help with the policy to create the law, the labor law in Cambodia, and with the assistance from the U.S. I think USAID, USAID, helping financial support, and there are many labor union organizations in the U.S. providing support as well. And I got involved with them last 2 years, and I know a little bit about this union movement in Cambodia. And they try to labor movement stand up to protect the interest for the labor, especially government labor, construction labor, and casino labor, or we can say the private company labor, private company union, because the government of Cambodia not adopt any law for the public servant union yet, only private company union, and only few sectors like government sector, construction sector, and also casino sector. And
garment, how about garment worker?
Yeah, garment worker, garment sector.
The factory, no, the factory worker, garment worker, are they in the same in that law?
Yeah,
yes, they are. According to this law, it's textile and garment sectors.
Yeah. And you know, Chia, right? Chia, he is the first union leader to protect the garment worker. And some of them silent, put in jail, or killed, like Chia, or killed.
Like Rung Chon right now, he's the union leader, isn't he?
Union leader,
yeah. So he's being in jail, either dead or in jail. And who stand up to speak for the people?
Not for the labor, for the worker.
For the labor people, that's a sad thing. So it sounds like, from what you just said, it sounds like the law in place, but whether the government enforcing those laws or not, that's another thing, right?
Implementation is zero. I can say that. If I give the score, 0. Because why? They don't support union movement. They create their own union. They call government union to protest against private union, the public union. You see that? So what I got the information from, right now there are two kinds of union. Union that protect worker and union that protect the government. So they can legitimize the government, that union, when they protest in the international stage. So whenever we invite them to the conference, we have to invite both government union leader and independent union leader. You can see that. So the government, they create institutions that can stabilize or instabilize the effort of the public or the labor movement, or even though the human rights movement. Right now, they're adopting a law to create government human rights body. So in the world, you don't see any country that they have human rights organization by the government. No, because human rights organization is a civil society, right? Not the government. So in Cambodia, they mix up to fabricate the public. This is the leadership of fabrication. So
What?
talking about compensation, the wage, $192. How can you survive? That's my question. Because inflation and the good cost standard of living in Cambodia, some products are more expensive than here, right?
Right.
Yeah. It's come down to about $1 a day, $1.20 and 20
Not
cent
an
or
hour,
something.
right?
Yeah, per day.
Per
So
day.
$192 per month, and if you divide that by 160 hour, if they were to work 8 hours per day and 160 hour per month, full-time work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, it's come down to about $1.20 per day, and you cannot survive on you cannot even feed yourself on $1 a day, for one mouth maybe, but for if you have a family, children, how are you going to survive? How are you going to feed your family like that? No wonder people live in a small space, with many people in small room, because they have to share those rooms, share the rents, and the living condition, I heard, is very, very bad. It just sad to hear all this story, one thing after another, connecting all the dots together. It's just so inhumane in Cambodia, and there's no government program that help the people with different kind of situation. That's why each time that I thought of the people in Cambodia, I feel very privileged living in America. Even when hard time hits in America, we don't have job, we lose job, we have government help. And if we don't have health care, government will help you on that too. So it's just unfortunate for Cambodian people. We lived through so much hardships, and now we going through the same thing, just not as it look a little bit prettier than Khmer Rouge region, but they are living in hardship. Not it's really bad. So.
Well, you did brought up a really good subject, and the subject is of healthcare. I don't believe $192. Just to let you know that $192 was a $2 increase from 2020. So thanks to the regime, $2 increase. $192 without healthcare. $192 per month. If someone in your family gets sick, it's gonna cost you more than $102 to go to see a doctor one time, and that is the sad part. So according to this, it said the textile, garment, and footwear industry, which employ over 800,000 workers, and those 800,000 workers receive $192 a month.
If I may add, the Western world, United States, Europe, they are still buying products from Cambodia. They need to think about this hard. Since we talking about Labor Day, they need to think about that they buying products from the country, from Cambodia, that they are not enforcing labor law, they are not respecting human rights. Everything that the Western world and the U.S. stand for, they break all those, all those conditions. And why are we United States and the Europe still buying product from the country that making people work like slaves, like in the 18th century. Why are we still doing that? Please consider these. Make some noise for the government and make some change. Stop giving them tariff, which is the break for the tax to bring in products to like United States. We give them the United States government give Cambodia tax break. Yeah, GSP tax break, which they don't tax them on those products that they bring into the United States. And I think Europe is doing something similar.
Yeah,
So so consider all this, please. Gather all the information, and I'm sure they have all those information already. They just blind eyes and just continue, to do what they still doing. If we are enforcing, if we are embracing human rights, if we are embracing labor law, if we are embracing, all those things that we are embracing in the Western country, if you continue to buy those products, you are participating in those government, making their people doing the thing that they're not supposed to be doing. So please reconsider that.
Yeah, according to what I know is those foreign company, like big company like Adidas or Nike, they protect the right of labor, the right of worker, and they work closely with ILO, International Labor Organization, or the United Nations, and they have a lot. But is the argument that they cannot stop investing in poor country like Cambodia, because at least they provide some supply to the agent of change, is the worker. The worker. The revolution in the world, the peasant or farmer revolution and industrial revolution. So Cambodia right now we go into second stage, industrial revolution, is the worker, the labor, the government worker revolution. That's why for the private company, they can provide much more salary than that, $200 to $300. But a lot of corruption and embezzlement by the government. That's why the company cannot afford to pay a lot to the worker. This is the big issue. And
then just stop it together. I'm sorry.
The agent of change will be killed, and the leader will be happy. That's what the research found. That's why they had to work underneath the attempt by the dictator, because the three terms for Cambodian language they call cloud, clear, clyde. It means that uneducation, cloud, clear it means hunger, and clyde fear. That is the three terms used by the dictator. They want people to be like that. That's why developmental approach from Western concept, they have to provide food to the agent of change to stand up against the dictator. And dictator know that. That's why they try to squeeze the labor, the worker, not to stand up. They don't want money. They don't want prosperity for the people. No, they don't want. They say in the public they want, but when they act out, they just try to lobby everything. That's why ILO, they work against the intention of the government. And they try to go any tunnel that they can go through, any accessibility that they can go through, so that they can help. Like now we have like 800,000 workers that are agent of change, and they changed the country by election in 2013 to the Cambodian National Electoral Party. You see that is from the labor, because those are young women. Most of them, like 80 or 90%, are young women from the countryside and remote area. So when they come to the city, they work for garment factory, they earn some money, they send back home to feed their parents at home. So before their parents influence children in the election, in the ballot, But right now, children influence parents to change the ballot. So this is the winning strategy from the Western country. But Hun Sen government know this, and they try to blackmail everything: labor law, labor rights, and human rights movement, labor rights movement. This is how the dictator work. They don't
Let
like
me
authority. They like peace, peace in the graveyard.
let me remind our audience: the EU withdraw 20% of the EBA, and that including what Mr. Sophoan said, human right abuse, the dissolve of the CNRP, and that's what they were asking, to put back CNRP, free and fair elections, and also so respect human rights. And it's only 20% for now, and later on will be more. Bong Sita, whose fault is that, Bong?
It's not enough. 20% is not enough. They need to do more. More in what way? They need to implement those points that being asked, and if the Hun Sen government's not budge, then they need to continue to reduce those, you know, those things that they were pressuring to the Hun Sen government to do. If they soft on them, they bluffing on them, it's not going to work. The Hun Sen's government function like the communists. So, communists is not, when they talk and no action, they're going to continue to do what they've been doing. They're not afraid of losing. And if they continue to do it, of course, the people are going to hurt because they lose their job. But for the long term, it's going to be better, because right now it might hurt. But if we let this continue, the hurt, the long-term hurt is outweigh the short-term pain. So that's my philosophy. If you have a wound, if you clean, of course you're gonna hurt. But hurting right now, it's gonna heal for later. So that's what the EU, the US need to do. Put some sturdy, more policy into process. Don't just stop at 20%. Continue until they get those demands, and then if they don't give in, then put some more out. That's what they need to do.
In addition to that, 800,000 workers, they have a voices in this. They have the voices to tell the regime, we do not want another 20%. So it's important that the worker voices their opinion, voices their stand on this. It's the EU can sanction, and then when they sanctions, it's the worker that get affected, because now the cost of product going out of Cambodia is going to be, because they have to pay tax. So 800,000 workers, what should they do, Mr. Sophoan?
They have to protect their plate. If they don't protect their interest, they don't stand up, they will lose everything. That's why 800,000 workers, they have to come to the street to exercise their rights, guaranteed by the Constitution and the international law. If those carbon labor workers don't come to the street, then they don't protest, EU might stop the 80%, the rest, and TPS from the United States will be stopped too. So you cannot allow your government to shut up your mouth or to destroy your plate, to destroy your stomach. You have to protect your stomach, to protect your plate and your interests. So 800,000 labor worker is a lot. You can flood the Phnom Penh city.
If they all come out at the same time, yes.
Yeah, to show that you are strong enough.
Yeah.
You should be strong enough, because the EU providing EBA about almost 10 years already. Yeah, you should help yourself now. You cannot live by EU to help you every time. No, they have their own issue too. And right now we have pandemic, which is very complicated. Before, Hun Sen politicizing with the union labor, with the government worker by going to dance, to give a speech and give the envelope free money to all those young ladies from the factory worker. But when the pandemic came, he stopped the politicizing with the labor worker. So right now he is politicizing pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. So he is the master of, I can say, the master of political manipulation.
Thank you, Mr. Sophoan. Yes, it is important that we are talking about Labor Day, and also we tie that to Cambodia because 800,000 workers receive $192 a month working, and that 192 will be squeezed as soon as they have to pay taxes to export those products. And it's going to get the people that are affected is the 800,000 workers. So it's important that they voice their what they want. They cannot just sit there and depend on somebody to save them because it's time for them to do that.
Yeah, if I may add, it's not echoing, sorry. It's not the company that don't pay them enough, but they get cuts from the very top. You know, by the time they get to pay the people that much, there's so many corruption, so many people that that money go to, like their boss, whoever else, you know, how many level. That's why. So it's not the company that they don't pay enough. It's the people who run the company in Cambodia, who's being corrupted and pay people so little, and so yeah. So the people, they need to stand up and you know, and voice their voice, and all those garment worker if they come out all together, they can make a lot of noise. But if only a few comes out and then they get gathered, put them in jail. But if all of them all over the Cambodia, wherever the factories are, come together, they can make a difference. They just need to be brave enough to come out.
Thank you, Bong. We are at the end of our show, and thank you, Bong, for bringing such a different idea, different issue up. We talk about labor law, but also we talking about labor law in Cambodia, where it's $192, and we went into EBA, GSP, and that's what affected labor law. Not labor law, Labor Day in America, where we celebrate this, and at the same time we thought, oh, the 192 per month that our people are making, and that is just horrible. To close the show up, Mr. Sophoan, do you have anything to say regarding Labor Day, either in the U.S. or in Cambodia?
Yeah, Labor Day is very important day for not only the private labor, like the government sector labor or the construction labor. It is very important for the government service servants, public servants. Public servants in Cambodia, we have about 1 million personnel. So including civil servants like teachers, nurses, doctors, or public government servants, and also the military worker, the policemen, the PM, and also the soldiers. So about over 1 million, and they earn very minimal salary, like less than government labor. Government labor 192. But those public servants about 182, so they cannot survive. That's why many teachers they don't have willingness to teach students. They conducted corruption behavior in the school, and all students learn the first hand in how to corrupt in school. So how can you produce younger generation that is effectively build this nation? Not at all. It become like chronic cancer tumor to spread in Cambodia. And you see those soldiers and policemen, they work extra hours to serve their master, like to guard their home, to guard their land, so that they can earn extra money. to provide assistance to their family. So according to the salary they receive, very minimal, they cannot live by that wages, and they have to stand up together. And also farmer are the backbone of the nation. They are the labor, the primary labor of the country. So we have around 85% representing the national population of farmer. And right now, farmer, their products, their fruit, they cannot sell in the market, and it's very cheap. So they have to stand up together. All public servants, all farmers, and all government labor, they have to stand up together in a collective interest to protest the government, to give them fair wage. For me, fair wage in Cambodia right now at least $400 to $500 per month, not 2,000 or 3,000 like in US or Canada. Just $400, I think, may be enough for them. And we have to stop migrating to Thailand, to neighbor country, to sell our labor. We can work in our country with fair salary and decent living. But in order to get that, you cannot wait to see they give to you. Freedom or fair wages cannot give you for free if you don't protest, if you don't stand up. So that's my final word for Cambodian people.
Thank you, Mr. Sophoan. Sita, you want anything to add regarding this Labor Day? Yesterday, we did enjoy the day off, but at the same time, our thought is with the Cambodian people who's earn $192. That's a garment worker. People actually earn less than that in different areas of their working.
Just like Lacruz Sophoan said, if all people in the workforce from all sector join together and protest, making some noise, come together, for the better of their future, ask for the right for a better wage for living, it will make a difference. In anywhere in the world, United States included, labor law did not come, overnight. It came over many years of protests, of people who do a lot of things in order to get those laws in place. And so it will not come easy in Cambodia either. But if you don't do anything, things will not change. If you want change, you need to do something about it and start doing it now before it's too late. Right now, you're doing it for you and yourself, your family, and for the future of your children as well. So that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Lok Sophoan, and thank you, Sita. As always, the purpose of tonight's show is to bring awareness, the awful situation in Cambodia, and we did brought the issue up and which labor law. So I thank you so much for being here. The reason we bring it up is that's the only way for us to actually solve the problem is to talk about that. So that way, our audience who listen, they better equipped to do our part to help out Cambodia. Thank you both for being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah,
thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, our audience, for being here tonight. I appreciate that. Our topic today is Labor Day 2021. As mentioned earlier, in the United States and also in Canada, we celebrate Labor Day yesterday, which means we had a day off. And as we have a day off, our thought is with the Cambodian people that actually earning $192 an hour for garment and factory worker. And it is important for them to know that the European and American, European have EBA and American have GSP. Those are affected due to the regime unwilling to cooperate regarding human rights and also regarding there's many issues like dissolving CNRP, human rights, and those are items that is affecting their pocket. So as my guest, Mr. Sophoan, and also Sita said, it's time for those workers, which is a total of 800,000 workers, that they need to speak and they need to voice their opinion that, you know, it's not acceptable for 20% loss in EBA, and it's going to continue. So please help to share this message. Also help to share the show. I'm here every Tuesday. And thank you for being here today. I mean, tonight in most places. Thank you and see you next Tuesday.